handsome cat, and we are live. And indeed, I said 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone, and indeed we're a little late, so apologies for that. And I do hope to see many of you joining very soon, because today we have a very extra special live stream. Let me shift in my chair and make sure I'm comfortable, and I suggest that you do the same. Everybody, tonight is the night that we're reading Stephen's book. This is indeed a very special live stream, as you might know. And if you don't know, then I'm about to tell you. So once again, welcome so much to our live stream tonight. We're here. I'm super pumped. I'm super energized, and I'm super excited to let you know that we're going to be doing a very special live stream tonight, where we will be reading a science fiction book by my friend Stephen, who I met on this channel through this community that I've been working on building, and we have all been working together and coming to these live streams and gathering and hanging out and chit-chatting and sharing our love for both cats and physics. So this is indeed a cats plus physics channel. We show kitty cats, we show my face, we talk about physics, astronomy, cosmology, and astrophysics, my favorite topics, along with my children who are cats. So I've met many special people like yourselves on this channel, including Stephen. Hi Adam. Adam says, I'm fuming that I missed Supersymmetry. Glad to be here though. Hello Adam, you should definitely check out the Supersymmetry live from last night, and I will say thank you everybody so much who was here last night for the Supersymmetry live stream. It went rather well. I think that was my most attended well-attended live stream of all time that I've had so far. So I was quite impressed, and I was quite surprised that so many people joined so very late, probably from all different time zones. And if that was the case, and if you were here and you didn't say much, I should just let you know that I very much appreciated that you were here attending and listening to the live stream for Supersymmetry, and extremely delighted that you could make it. And thank you so much. And again today, thank you so much if you're joining today, and I hope to see many of you. Hello Mike D. Hello. I'm going to share the live really soon here. Hopefully the author of tonight, Stephen, is going to be joining soon here. Maybe he will sneak in at some point soon. Hello Neil. Hello Adam. Adam says that he missed the Supersymmetry live last night. Too bad, Adam, we missed you. Mike D says, glad to see you. Hello Mike D, how are you doing? Neil says, beautiful. Hello Neil Lennon. John Lennon. I might even sing a song for you with that sort of last name reminding me of songs. So once again, I wanted to say that it was very exciting last night. We kind of talked about, I think this is my fourth night in a row going live and talking about some very interesting topics. So we talked about fragment equation. We talked about, hello Stephen! Stephen is here, great. We will be getting started very soon, Stephen. So we talked about fragment equations, then we talked about the beauty of general relativity, then we talked about supersymmetry, and actually the next part of that is we will continue with supersymmetry, superpartners, and supersymmetry, superpartner particles along that same thread. Along that same thread when we continue that discussion. But today we're going to take a break from science and talk about science fiction. So as you know, once again, that we usually utilize this channel and this live stream slot to talk about science, particularly to talk about physics, astrophysics, astronomy, and cosmology, which are some of our favorite topics here, along with kitty cats. And Stephen, my friend over here, Stephen Spears, my first member of this channel, has been attending. Exactly. Stephen has been attending and been a very good student of these topics all along, and has been showing his support. And what is more, Stephen has written a book, and he has been handwriting these books, and we were talking about publishing the books, and then we urged him to just post the book as pictures on Instagram. And so the first chapter of his science fiction book is now up on Instagram, and just for the fun and just to show our support for each other, we will be reading this science fiction book as a special live stream edition tonight. So very shortly, I will be starting to read Stephen's live stream, or sorry, Stephen's book, chapter number 1 on this live stream. For the first time, it will be aired, I think, if I'm correct. So everybody get your drinks ready, get your snacks ready, get your money ready. I do hope that we will have some super chats tonight, and that will greatly help to excite and energize me even further. And indeed, 20 minutes is equal to an hour and a half. That is true. I basically said 9 p.m. EST. I should have said 9 p.m. Indian time, where genetics have made it so that I have been running behind. Sorry, was able to find you. Hello, Stephen. She was experiencing time dilation. Her clock said different. That is true. Time is relative. We learned that in special relativity, and we have mentioned that quite a bit on this channel. Bismarck says hello. I have no title yet. That's fine. I'm calling it Stephen's science fiction novel. So Bismarck, hello. Adam, hello. I will continue to say hi to everybody. Stephen, hello. Doro, hello. Adam, hello. Bismarck, hello. Doro says, well, everyone have fun. Just came to crack my joke. Absolutely. How is it going in San Antonio, Doro? Stephen says, it is the first time anything I wrote is read by anyone but me. Aww. So I'm going to get your book up and ready here on my other device. It'll be on my iPad because this book is on Instagram. So I'm going to get that going. Hopefully we will see many more people joining very soon here. And I will switch to my other headphone and mic situation as well, so that the audio is hopefully mostly stable and good. Oh my gosh, what am I looking at? Sometimes when I open Instagram, I'm quite shocked by something or other. Where are you, Stephen? There you go. Thank goodness I have found Stephen. I had to search. It is the first time anything I wrote is being read. Oh, good. I'm Rami. It says you have a relatively special eyes. Relatively special. Are you trying to make a pun for special relativity? In that case, I do like that. I'm Rami. Oh, wow. Rami, like that actor, Rami Malek. I do like his acting a lot. So Stephen says, Doro, you have relatively special eyes. So thank you, Rami. If this is your first time, welcome to the channel. We usually talk about physics, astronomy, astrophysics, and cosmology, and kitty cats. And tonight we will be talking about science fiction written by Stephen, who is related to Britney Spears. So Britney, if you're watching, I hope that you're proud of your cousin and the author of tonight's book, Stephen's science fiction novel. The first chapter of it is up on Instagram, and I will be reading it for you guys today for fun, for my friends here on the live tonight. We will be doing a special live session, okay? So I see, Stephen, that these handwritten pages are up on Instagram. And chapter 1, I think I actually read this briefly already, but I will be starting again from chapter 1. Oh, and I see a comment by me on this particular chapter post. So let's see, is everything in order? Nathan says, B, looking great tonight. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, my friend. Why are more people not joining? Oh, let me share the live. Let me actually fill up my water bottle with more water so that I don't have to get up and get more water later. Let me get more water in my bottle. And then also let me share the live and hope and pray that more people will join and get to know about Stephen's book tonight. Stephen, are we early? See, I am late for the 9 p.m. time slot, but I think maybe we're too early. Last night at around 2 or 3 in the morning, around 70 people joined, and I mean 70. So where are you, last night's people? Are those the people from Asia? Is it because they were starting to wake up and go about their day and welcome distraction? Is that what happened? Dislike the stream, Grimme. Oh, and I forgot to say, please do like the live. Thank you so much. Can we get 20 likes? Can someone put that in the chat and I can pin it? Can we get 20 likes? And thank you so much. Yes, I wore these special earrings. I've got this special ring on. It's all because of the special event of tonight, which is Stephen's science fiction novel that we are reading for the first time on this channel, and apparently he is saying that he is also having it read by somebody for the first time. Here, I got you. Thank you. Let's get to 20 likes, folks. I like how you're so nicely asking for the 20 likes, Adam. Can we get 20 dislikes? Oh my goodness, Grimmy, do not joke about the likes. So Adam, you have asked very nicely, let's get to 20 likes, folks. I do like your tone, but you might want to be forceful like Grimmy right here. See how he says, can we get 20 dislikes? You might want to do that, but for the likes, and put it in all bold, all capital letters, and I will then pin it. Can you do that, please, Adam? Let me fill up my water bottle, and Grimmy, shut up. Let me fill up my water bottle and share the live so that more people are here, Stephen. I feel like not enough people are going to experience the magnifique, which is gonna be tonight's live stream about this science fiction. Ladies and gentlemen, come one, come all, we're gonna have story time. Okay, let me fill up the water bottle. I'll be right back and then share the live. What is happening? There is a lot of light on my face, and somehow not enough people are here yet. Stephen, are we reading If You Give a Mouse a Cookie? What? Doro had 10 already. Let's get to 20 likes. Okay. Suji, did you poop on the floor again? I really hope not. Okay, now I think she pooped in the litter robot. Thank goodness. Okay, let me fill up the water bottle. Whenever I start, so Suji has certain cues that she likes to use in life. So sometimes when I call my dad, she poops immediately. And apparently lately, she has been taking a dump as soon as I start my live stream. And so I've been given a gift immediately upon starting the live streams. And I can barely breathe now. So let me catch my breath and fill up the water bottle. And let's get to 20 likes, folks. Thank you, Adam. You might want to be even more forceful, actually, than that. Even more forceful. Okay. Adam, I hope you check out our supersymmetry discussion from last night, which is posted as a video upload on the live streams tab, under the live tab on my channel, nonetheless, when you have a chance, okay? Because I think that was actually very interesting. And what is more, we will be continue that topic next time, like tomorrow, etc. So you might want to catch up on that live stream from last night when you have a chance, so that you can follow along next time, okay? And tonight we're taking a break from the physics to talk about science fiction by Stephen. This is really your book tonight, Stephen. Yes, it's gonna be Stephen's book, my friends. Get ready with your drinks, your snacks, and your money. What's a zoomer? It's a boomer talk, Adam. It's a zoomer term, but yeah, it's boomer talk. What does that mean? Have you never read that book, B? Braces myself for bad criticism or likes. Don't be afraid to be honest. This is my first book I'm sharing with people other than myself. Have you never read that book? I have never read Stephen's book fully yet. I glanced at it, but I have never read it, and definitely not read it for the channel before. Tonight is the night. We are the debut of Stephen's science fiction novel right here, right now, right here. It's a very special live stream tonight where we debut Stephen's science fiction. This is really your book. Yes, it is. I wrote it last year. I also draw my own stuff too. Congratulations, Stephen. I will listen, says Nathan. Yay! No read if you give a mouse a cookie. What does that mean? Thanks, Nathan. It's a mix of Star Trek, Star Wars, and others. Okay. Hi, Sachi. Sachi has stolen my chair again. Hi, Sachi. Thank you for pooping right as I start my live stream, but this time she hit it. This time she hit the little robot. Little baby. Okay. Hello, Harper. How is everybody doing? Okay, we are here. We're here. I'm gonna share the live on my other phone, and I'm gonna read the book from my iPad on Instagram, which is where Stephen posts his book. Okay. How is everybody doing? How is everything? Harper, how are you? What day is it? Tuesday? So there might be people who are too tired today from the 2 days that they've had to work already. It has no title. I'm working on that. Do you see the special top I wore, Stephen, for your book? Do you see this? These are the arrangements that I've made for your book. It's a special night. Where are the people? Oh my gosh, Nathan says I worked 13 hours today. Stephen, do you have any family members or any friends joining? Should we wait for them? Sorry, I totes forgot the live, and I promised myself I'd go to bed early, and I've had a really crappy day. Hello, Harper. We're reading Stephen's book. Grimmy, get off the chat and go to bed. Check your phone, then go to bed. Grimmy, early day tomorrow, says the boss. Stephen says nervous. Okay, Stephen, I'm gonna be sharing the live now on my channel so that more people will come to know about it. Are you ready? And have you, Stephen? I had 10 people? What do you mean? Waiting for the live? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I had like 10 people. They said, oh my goodness. Who were these 10 people? Excitement to you, ma'am. Affirming Grimmy stereotyping right now. Apparently, I'm a dumb... No, you are so sweet, Adam. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. See? Adam is sponsoring Steven's science fiction novel reading tonight. Thank you so much, Adam. You're not dumb. You're so nice. So here's some money. Oh, thank you, Adam. Thank you so much. And that's right, you're from Canada. I totally forgot. This is our Canadian nice friend. This is our so nice friend from Canada who is so very generous and helpful and supportive. That was funny as heck. What's funny as heck? Adam says, did I do something? Adam says, laughing, no, everyone has their own lives and we don't get along very well. Are you talking about your family now? We've been waiting. Waiting who? Who's been? Thank you are the person of the day. Aww. Okay. I am so very sorry to everybody who's been waiting. If you're waiting and I'm saying we're live. Dora, can you get your people back? I tried, Steven. How are you giving up on us so quickly? I'm sorry, Dora. Can we please have your people back? You tried. How is it in the past tense already? Okay, I shared the live. How is this all in the past tense already? Adam, thank you so very much. Steven, look at this. Canadians are supporting the book. Grimmy, get off the chat and go to bed. Then go to bed. Why? I had 10 people. Oh, Steven, don't be nervous. Excellent chat messages. Adam, I'll be screenshotting that. Oh, this message. I see. Excitement to you, ma'am. Wow, correct spelling of ma'am. Affirming Grimmy, stereotyping right now. Aww. Adam, I think you're so kind and thank you so much for your support indeed. Everyone has their own lives and we don't get along very well. Are you talking about your friends? I mean, I already look like a ponce. I'm good. Everyone have a good night. Grimmy, go to bed. Ponce. What does that mean? We need Dora's people. I told some friends on another stream about this today. One lives in Spain, so he may catch a replay later. Thank you, Adam. Thank you so much. What does this mean? I already look like a ponce. What does that mean? What's going on? I hope more people from my channel will be joining very soon here. Combat Sports, who else? Now Seth, Reese, please do join. Get me out of trouble. Thank you so much for being here. Can we get 20 likes? Adam says, awful quiet. Maybe you went to sleepy time. Oh, Adam. Okay, we will get started. This is chapter 1, page 1 by Steven Spears. Sorry. Chapter 1, page 1 by Steven Spears, the author of the night, live stream, episode of tonight, science fiction by Steven Spears. We will be reading now. Thank you, Adam, for sponsoring the live. If anyone else wants to do a super chat, wants to grab a drink or a snack or throw some money at this live stream, you're most welcome to. It will incredibly help. At the outer reaches of the solar system, a flight of 12 Y-wing starfighters fly Petrol, their home base. Pluto, the outermost planet in the system, they are on the lookout for any intruders into their home system. mainly imperial starships and their less nimble, botched copy of the vaunted Y-wing, not sure what that word means, the Imperial Scorpion fighters. Looking forward to hearing your sci-fi writing, Stephen. It's happening right now. The Y-wing is a twin-engined, single-seat, hyperspace-capable 10-meter long by 8-meter high little fighter. Been in service for 15 years, and from wingtip to wingtip, they span 6.5 meters as the wings are canted downwards. The Grumman SFA-28B Viper Y-wing Interceptor is the fastest fighter in the Rebel fleet, capable of 2.78 inch 2.78 in hyperspace and sorry, I have to rotate and 10.8, oh my gosh, 10.8 in normal space. She is propelled by two General Electric J318B Hyper jets. Actually, how is the audio? Shall I put on these headphones? Is that better? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm gonna wait to make sure that the audio switch actually worked. Can you hear me? I was starving, so I ate a 3-day-old. I was starving, so I ate a 3-day-old salad, and it was frozen. There's no book title yet. God, no. It was actually better before. Oh, it's worse. I see. Okay. Well, we tried. That it will help with the surround noises. Are we good? Can you hear me? We're still only just getting started with Stephen's book, so if you're late, no worries. We're here. Sorry, Stephen, the next page is upside down and it's giving me a lot of trouble actually. It keeps rotating. I might have to lock the iPad's rotation, but maybe I can just put it down like this and read it like this. It's worse. It was better before. Yeah, no, we're deaf. Is it working now? Are we good? Let me check on my phone. Is it working? Oh, I think it's working. Okay. 10.8 in normal space. She's propelled by two General Electric J318B hyperjets and has a built-in astromech droid directly behind the cockpit. For weapons, she has two ARS light blaster cannons in the wings, leading edge, and two missile bays, one in the forward fuselage forward of the spacious cockpit and the second between the twin engines. Can everybody hear me? And am I saying these words correctly, Stephen? Give me some feedback, because I'm reading his handwriting on Instagram. And this particular page is actually a little bit rotated the other way, as it should be. But I'm making it work, and soon we will be done with this page. Fuselage It's intermittent, but so is the video. It's like fuselage. What's intermittent? What's intermittent? Is it not working? My live? Steven, is it not working, my live? I'll keep going. The Vipers replaced the 40-year-old T-15B Talon, which is used for basic flight training and second-line defense, but could never stand up against the Scorpion fighter. So the Viper was rushed into production, and boy, just in time. I think Steven has Starlink internet. Skipper, do you see what I'm seeing on my scopes? Lieutenant hello Simon. We're reading Steven's book. I cannot read the next word very easily. Lieutenant Tom Baker calls over his, oh my gosh, sorry, this page is giving me a lot of trouble because it keeps rotating. Steven, when you post the pages, it would be good if they were all the one same direction and not upside down. So let's see if I can get it. Calls over his, maybe this is not going to work out very well. I think Steven has Starlink internet. Is this the stream that is running mega late? It is, yeah. And actually, let me do this. Let me try to read it from my phone. It's not going very well from my iPad, I'm sorry. And as he looked at his flight panel, his hyper radar scope shows multiple ships coming out of hyperspace, and they keep popping up too. Roger that. Red 9, Commander Aaron Thomas says in response, but then she's engaged by 50 of the Scorpion before she's allowed to alert home plate. Everyone stick to your wingmen. We've got company. Locks and load, ladies. Okay, fuselage. Do you hear this page? Are we good? This was challenging because it was all upside down, Steven. So we see how this page was correct way down. The next page was upside down and Instagram kept rotating it for me. So this was a bit challenging. Video and sound, but I've had problems earlier. Oh no, I think something is going on with your side, Steven, because looks like normal to me. Lol Machine says, haha, what even is this? This is Steven's science fiction book that I'm attempting to read. It's on Instagram. I'm reading his handwriting, so it's going a little slower than my usual pace of reading. And also there's a couple of technical difficulties. So bear with us. It's the first time that we're doing a book reading of somebody on the channel. And it's a science fiction book that he's written. So bear with us. Give me one more second. Let me get page 3 up. Oh boy. Lol Machine says, what even is this? I see, Doro had me waiting. Salmon is back on the menu. Are you guys like Doro's friends? Is this what this is? I'm not gonna stick around. Grimmy, okay. All right. So, oh, what is this word? Titus groans and collapsed in an easy chair suddenly. What is it, Titus? Stephen asks, worried. I don't know. I had this feeling, fear, dread. Then, billions of voices screaming out, then nothing. Titus says, as he shook his head to clear his mind, whatever it was, we're not getting any signal from Earth now. District says, as he channels surfed by waving his hand back and floats in front of the monitor. All the known channels broadcast from Earth were showing nothing but dark screens. So I guess there was nothing being shown but dark screens in this point of the novel. You don't remember me? Doro hit me like 30 times. I do remember someone called Salmon being hidden by Doro 30 times. But I'm just surprised that you're back and being so good. I guess I'm almost mistaken about your identity. I don't know. Did someone steal your identity? Adam says burned him. Who burned who? So Stephen, your handwriting looks really good, but it is a little difficult to read at a very high speed. I am good, you're the queen. Oh, thank you. Thank you for liking the live. I think Doro's friends did not want to stick around, but thank you for coming nonetheless and showing your support by liking the live. It's going a little slowly. We're figuring it out. So thank you for bearing with us. I'm reading the book as you go along. Yes, we're good so far. Okay. So the next one is, so after the dark screens, we're going over to the next page. Looks like the Earth fleets are being taken apart piece by piece. Stephen Spears says, as they can still receive live news broadcasted from Earth, and the news is grim. It is a sad day for humanity. District says as he sips coffee and watches the news. Titus and Nautog, both not from Earth, can only watch in grim silence. Titus walks over and rests a hand. We're gonna talk about supersymmetry next. Y-Wing Lego set? What happened to supersymmetry, says Hawk Wave Media. We will definitely continue the supersymmetry topic in just a second. We will first read about science fiction novel written by Stephen as promised. So Titus walks over and rests a hand on Stephen's shoulder. Stephen shudders as he worries about his parents still trapped on Earth. According to latest estimates, an estimated 350,000 men, women, and children have boarded 35 civilian ships capable of hyperspace jump out of an estimated 7 billion beings on Earth, ships of all kinds and classes as per Operations Exodus. So this is Stephen's science fiction novel book that we're reading for a bit today. I thought I might be able to get through the full chapter, but given that there's some challenges, I might just go through a few pages and pause, because I think it's going to go a little slow because of the handwriting and the Instagram flipping the posts and whatnot. So, but at the same time, I'm excited to read your book, Stephen. Word has spread the Earth precedent was on the last ship, the SS Legend of the Universe, but that was just What the hell, District says, as the screen on the bulkhead went black. No static, no noise, no nothing. So all the screens have gone black. That's the last page of the chapter. Well, this was the next post, so I read it. If you remember the Colonial Viper from Battlestar Galactica, just imagine it without the upper third engine. And then Stephen is saying that's the last page of the chapter. Well, I am sorry I read the last page of your chapter because it was the next post that I saw, and now my Instagram has frozen completely. So you have to scroll forward, then you'll find the next page. I did do that. So, hello Leo. So we may have to, let's see. Okay. This may not work as easily as we thought because Instagram is flipping the posts upside down when the page is not the right way oriented, making it impossible to make it stop and me reading it. And then as I kept scrolling up to go to the next page, I apparently met with your last page. So anyways, that gave you some idea for Stephen's book. If you're interested in his book, who would like me to read another page from his book? Because I could keep going. There's a lot of pages. Did I finish the whole thing? I just saw the same page again, I think. While on Mars, now terraformed and colonized by millions, they hold back some of its fleet of warships for a possible attack on the rear of the invading fleet. So there's some warships, there's some fleets, there's some things going on. The president still sits in her ancient but modernized Oval Office of the 1,000 Years White House in Washington, D.C. metro area. Wow. The kids are here, they're around. So we have been giving this a try. We've been looking at Stephen's book on Instagram and giving that a try. And it ended with some people on a starship with a fleet of warships, I understand, and everything going dark on all the screens and the president being helpless, I think. Stephen, correct me if I'm wrong. And then Stephen will release his next chapter soon next. This was our first time that we read Stephen's book on the channel, and I gave it a try. And it's our first time reading any kind of science fiction on this channel. This was science fiction, not science. My kid just jumped off. They're here, the kitty cats are here, they're around. I'll show you some in a moment. There's one behind me. See, right there, there's one behind me. And turns out it was a little difficult with the posts, flipping and whatnot. And also, when I read the handwriting, it goes a little slower. So everybody, thank you so much for your patience. Please do give Stephen a hand for writing this book. And thank you so much, Stephen, for sharing your book with us on the channel and telling us about it and posting it on Instagram. Keep on keeping on. It might be better at some point to turn it into print so that we can read it without the barrier of the handwriting and the sort of trying to figure it out in the moment. But I think it's fun, and thank you so much. And I think I read somehow the last page of the chapter, even though I may not have meant to. It might have been it might have appeared twice. Think he means kitties. The kitty cats are all around me. One of them is behind me right there. Hawk Wave Media, how are you doing? Are you one of Doro's friends, or is this your first time on the channel and you just bumped across us? We usually talk about physics, astronomy, astrophysics, and cosmology. Natuk. What's Natuk? And thank you so much, Adam, for the super chat. Oh my goodness, thank you. So, with your permission, I will now go back to the supersymmetry type of topics that we have been discussing here. So, yesterday we saw, so last night this live went pretty late, and we got into the topic of extra dimensions in string theory. We saw how this author, so now we're going back to physics at this point, we saw we've been referencing this book called The Elegant Universe by Brian Greene, who is a string theorist. So we saw that Brian Greene made a whole big deal about supersymmetry in the chapter that was just before this chapter. And he talked a lot about supersymmetry and how supersymmetry makes nature more beautiful, more elegant, more understandable, and more, and makes all these theories happen more smoothly and come true, and general relativity and particle physics, everything benefits from the symmetry or supersymmetry, which is basically that all the particles are allowed to have a supersymmetry particle, super partner. Sometimes, for example, a lepton, that's one family of particles in the particle physics in standard model. Sometimes the super partner of the lepton is called slepton, lepton versus slepton. Chapter 2 gets better as you get into the meat of the story. I will not go any further on that. Looking forward to your chapter 2, Stephen. Sounds great. So basically, we have been kind of given supersymmetry by Brian Greene in a way that makes a very good case for supersymmetry and why we need supersymmetry and how it makes things more beautiful. But actually, also, it turns out somehow it turns out that supersymmetry is something that makes string theory more viable. And when they started to work on string theory as a grand unified theory candidate, they actually had some problems that were also kind of saved and rescued by supersymmetry. So supersymmetry, hey, where are you from? Hello, Oma. Find a traitor from Earth who betrays Earth to the Empire, says Stephen. So it turns out that supersymmetry actually has a very important role in string theory, and that's why string theory had to become superstring theory or supersymmetric string theory. So that's what we mean by superstring theory. Improved string theory: if you drag a 10-foot long string behind you all day outside, at some point you will have a cat following you. Raikudo, hello! Hello, Raikudo. So those are the things about supersymmetry that we've been kind of discussing. So at first, it was presented as something that is needed in nature, and also it gives you the unification of the three non-gravitational fundamental forces when you include supersymmetry. So it had a very important role. We talked about this in a lot of detail last night. So if you missed the live from last night, you should definitely go find it later on under the live tab of the channel and see the live called Supersymmetry. And then we saw that Brian Greene, of course, started to talk about string theory because that's where he's going with all of this, right? This book, and his topic is string theory. And we saw it started to be formulated in the 1960s, and it had some issues. At first, it was only good with describing bosons, so bosonic vibrations or bosonic string theory, and it kind of left out fermionic vibration patterns or fermions, And so if you do a grand unified theory and you leave out fermions, of course that's really bad news. And it turns out that that problem was also solved by supersymmetry. So he kind of concluded that supersymmetry is really helpful and pretty much needed, and it saves the day for something like string theory. We would really need it. So that's why we call it superstring theory. But then, moving on from supersymmetry and how one needs it, we come to extra dimensions and how really it's almost like string theory has something very interesting about it. Supersymmetry is part of the story. But another very important and unique, and some might say sort of bizarre or ridiculous part of the story with string theory is that it needs all these extra dimensions. So string theory math is done with a lot of extra dimensions, and string theory makes a case that Dre, is that you? Yes, it's me. What do you mean? It is I. So he makes the case that these extra dimensions are not only needed, but that string theorists have convinced us that it's okay to have extra dimensions. String theory is not testable because we don't experience more than 4 dimensions, including time and space. But at the same time, we need extra dimensions in order to formulate something like string theory, which tries to be a grand unified theory, which can explain both general relativity as well as quantum mechanics as well as electromagnetism. And for that, you need the extra dimensions. And then you have to move on to convincing people that extra dimensions are justified and they're okay, and we can, think about them and accept them. So we spent a lot of time last night also talking about these extra dimensions and how maybe we experience certain dimensions that are more extended or bigger, but actually there are smaller, very minuscule, very microscopic, curled up little teeny weeny dimensions that we don't experience as you and me, but that may exist, that may be a thing. So maybe we should not discard this thought like it's something ridiculous, but instead open our minds to it. So that's sort of where we are now. We're talking about the extra dimensions of string theory. So I wanted to catch you up in case you missed last night's live, but you should definitely go check it out later on, because last night we talked about everything in a lot of detail, and I think that discussion would be very helpful if you are kind of following along with this topic. Dark Gloom, hello. Dark Gloom says, looking marvelous, I see, thank you. I do include 8.5 foot tall Sasquatch-like creatures, that is Natuak, who live on Centauri Prime in coexistence with humans. Dark Gloom says, absolutely brilliant. Thank you, my friend. So everybody, thank you so much. Welcome to the live. Please do feel free to like the live. Please double tap. Can we get 20 likes? Can we get 30 likes? Can we get 40 likes? Can we get a super chat? These would all help tremendously to keep the channel going and to support us and encourage us and energize us. Somebody from Canada has given us a super chat to encourage everything tonight, and we do appreciate that very much. Appreciate you very much, Adam. Dark Gloom, thank you. Stephen, thank you. Faith, thank you. Mickey, thank you. Everybody else, thank you so much. Doro and Doro's friends, thank you indeed. Mickey says there are only 10 dimensions and none of them are time or space. There are 10 or 11 dimensions in string theory, depending on which one, and they do include time and space. So basically, the point of string theory is that there could be more dimensions, some curled up ones that we don't experience, but we instead experience the more extended, more bigger dimensions, like the X, Y, Z, and of course we also experience time. So in the spatial dimensions, there might be some that we experience extended like, and they are more bigger, and there could be some curled up ones, really small ones that we don't experience. What is your long-term goal with YouTube, if you don't mind? Do you think the ocean depth is another dimension? So the ocean depth is part of the 3 spatial dimensions that we do experience. So we experience X, Y, and Z. We experience a length, a breadth, a height, or a depth, if you will. So ocean depth is part of the vertical direction that we do experience. So we do experience the left, right, the forward, backward, and the up, down spatial dimensions. Sometimes these are called X, Y, and Z, or length, breadth, depth, or height. So we do experience these, and we kind of saw the example that he gave of that garden hose going across a canyon, and when you see it from a very large distance away, you would think that the garden hose has just the one dimension. You just see its lengthwise dimension, so you just see its long length basically from farther away, and you would think that, oh, this thing is one dimensional, but then if there's an ant on it who is experiencing another dimension in the circular direction, we would only know about that smaller dimension or curled up dimension or that circular dimension if we zoomed in. So this is sort of an analogy given to understand that maybe, just maybe, there are extra dimensions that are curled up, that are sort of this analogous to the circular curled up dimension of that garden hose, which do exist, but they're so microscopic, they're so minuscule that we don't experience them easily. We would have to zoom in a lot, and we cannot zoom in quite that much. The length scales that we would have to zoom into is something that we do not have the technology for yet. Okay? Hello, Billy. Hello, Mickey. Dark Bloom asks a very good question. I'm going to answer that. Can I ask everyone who caught the reading, what do you think of my book? Yay. Raikudo, thank you so much, and thank you for the emojis. What is the purpose of string theory? I will definitely answer that. I understand that physicists postulated that. However, physics cannot prove it. Hello, Mickey. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much. Can you please like the live? That would be most excellent, and thank you so much. If you're here enjoying the discussion, whether you agree or disagree, I do hope that you appreciate that we are here enjoying a discussion. So please do like the live and try to support us if you will. If not, see you later, alligator. Sorry, but I have to go night. Y'all, good night, Harper. Longevity Directives says emojis. Thank you so much. Steven says, good night, Harper. Thanks for being here for this and you liking my book so far. Next week, I'll do a better job with uploading chapter 2. No worries, Steven. This was our first try at reading your book. So it's okay if it's a little rough. We got through it. We kind of saw, we give it a shot. We saw what the difficulties sort of are. And it might be better to I think there were two things. It got a little delayed because of the handwriting. I couldn't read it very fast. And then because of the Instagram posts getting flipped. I'm glad you're here to enlighten us, Mickey Johnson. That's true, Mickey Johnson. The other day, I think it was him that said that there was something that Einstein got wrong that he would like to correct. Mickey, that night he seemed kind of upset and he didn't really tell us exactly what he would like to do differently than Einstein. But tonight you have all the time in the world. We are here, you're here, here's the forum, here's the quorum. Go ahead and tell us your thoughts and how you would like to change things in physics, and try to keep it decent. Be curious, be inquisitive, be polite, be happy, be civil, and enjoy and discuss. That is most excellent and most welcome on the channel. Thank you everybody for being here indeed. Thank you so much, and please do like the live. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please, can we have 20 likes? Can we have 30 likes? Can we have 40 likes? Can we have a super chat? In fact, Mickey, I think you should give us a $500 super chat, and I think you will feel much better after that. So, extra dimensions is what we're going to be talking about now, and I was giving you a little bit of a prep for that from last night's discussion. So Adam, are you ready? Are you ready to hear more about the next steps for string theory, including extra dimensions? Are you ready now? Are you good? Are you in the proper mindset? Faye says yes. Faye's liked your book, Stephen. Yay! Adam says, I'm ready, buckling my seatbelt. Okay, good. So, we will keep going. Thanks, it gets better, I think, in chapter 2. Yes. We're just getting started with Stephen's book, which we read earlier in the live stream. So we will wait patiently for chapter 2 from you, Stephen, and we will keep going with string theory for tonight. So, we will back up a little bit, and how about this? Let me back up and tell you about Kaluza-Klein, because otherwise it's a little difficult. So first things first, in this chapter, I should mention that the main thing is that pretty much how many dimensions there are, the 3 spatial dimensions and the 1 time dimension, was pretty much taken for granted in physics, in nature. The fact that there might be more dimensions was not really a question that was being asked before these initial efforts of string theory. And even though string theory got started technically in the 1960s, actually as early as around 1919 or so earlier on in the 1900s, this person called Kaluza and Klein actually worked sort of on a string theory. They actually suggested having more dimensions, and they utilized general theory of relativity, and they solved those equations for more dimensions. And it was considered to be a very interesting piece of work, but it did not get a lot of attention, or it did not continue too much during Einstein's lifetime. And remember, somebody did ask, what was the point of string theory? String theory is trying to unify the different parts of physics that are in sort of quarreling with each other. So general theory of relativity is the updated theory for gravitation, and quantum mechanics and particle physics that comes out of quantum mechanics is the other side of physics, which basically gives us the standard model of particles, and it doesn't really give you an explanation for gravitation. So even though there is some progress in unifying the other 3 fundamental forces, electromagnetism, strong nuclear force, and weak nuclear force, those are the 3 types of forces that are unified with the blessing of quantum mechanics and particle physics. They don't explain gravitation. And on the other hand, general theory of relativity does not, of course, include quantum mechanics. So people kind of wanted an overarching, more general theory that can kind of subsume quantum mechanics, electromagnetism, general theory of relativity, and explain all of this without the 2 quarreling sides of physics, which was basically GR versus quantum mechanics. So, or in other words, sort of a classical physics versus quantum physics. So I feel encouraged now. Thanks, friends. I'm a little nervous in my writings, but I do love to draw. And by the way, I do not use rulers. Yay! Welcome back, Dark Gloom. Hi, Dark Gloom. Yes. So I think I'm answering maybe Dark Gloom's question right now. I've kind of forgotten who asked it without scrolling. I don't want to touch the phone too much. So basically, the point of string theory is that it's trying to unify general theory of relativity, which explains gravitation, with quantum mechanics and particle physics, which explains strong nuclear force, weak nuclear force, which are sort of also unified with electromagnetism. So taking everything together, it's actually gravitation, electromagnetism, quantum mechanics. If all of this could be unified by a more general, more kind of umbrella theory, then people would be happier, people would sort of have a better understanding for why these things are the way it is. And one way to think about it also is that, you know, there are the 4 fundamental forces. You might ask, like, why are there 4 different fundamental forces? Why aren't they sort of unified in some way? Why are they so different from each other? Why are the strengths so different, etc., etc.? Combat sports! Hello! Especially gravitation is very much weaker than electromagnetism, for example. Gravitation is an always attractive force. Electromagnetism, for example, is attractive between opposite charges and repulsive between like charges. And then, of course, there's a strong nuclear force and weak nuclear force. These are also quite different, and they operate sort of at a much different scale, so much so that we weren't even aware of these two other fundamental forces. So all of that is to say that the four fundamental forces being kind of different from each other, having very different strengths, and not being able to be unified by some one single explanation is what irked people a lot. And they wanted to look for a more grander unified theory, including Einstein. He actually died trying, and he could not come up with a GUT, grand unified theory. And that was very much his goal after general theory of relativity, okay? The other thing is that there was progress made to unify the non-gravitational fundamental forces. So they saw that if you go to certain very extreme scales, very tiny scales, or very hot temperatures, or very high energies, you can actually unify the non-gravitational forces. So you can unify electromagnetism with weak nuclear force and strong nuclear force. But even then, that still doesn't unify all those three with gravitation. So we still have this question of what's the more general answer and explanation of all of these things, and that's where we're trying to find a better theory, or a more grander theory, or a broader theory. And string theory or superstring theory is basically a grand unified theory candidate. Okay, so that's the point of string theory. That's why people worked on it. That's what they're going for. That's what they're trying for. Now, how much they succeed is a different matter. String theory, even though it's successful to a large extent as a theory, it's strong, but at the same time, one big flaw is that we cannot test it experimentally because of all these extra dimensions that it claims to have, that it basically convinces us of having, of being the reality. But because we experience only the four dimensions, including time and space, we cannot easily test out string theory and be like, yeah, this is definitely true. So without the experimental testing, it remains sort of a candidate theory and not a testable one. Okay? Geometries, symmetries, dimensions. Hello, Hawkwave Media. So, see you next time, Stephen. Thank you so much for the book. So, that's kind of what's going on. Trying to unify all the parts of physics is not a joke. It's not a trivial goal. Einstein worked on it and didn't quite get there. And in the 1960s, string theory kind of revived itself and brought back this notion of, well, maybe there are extra dimensions, and that kind of makes all the math work out and whatnot. Have you already talked about loop quantum gravity theory? No, we're just talking about the early days of string theory at this point. Have you already talked about loop quantum gravity theory? No, I have not. Whatever that is. It's not really come up yet in terms of, maybe I just don't know exactly what you mean, but it hasn't come up in this discussion so far. So, okay, any other questions about what string theory is trying to do, and anything else before we get started with Kaluza and Klein? So the importance of Kaluza and Klein's work is that, first of all, they were the first people. Actually, it was I believe it was Kaluza who for the first time gave it a shot. He took general relativity and introduced more dimensions and proposed this interesting sort of unconventional solution, which is that maybe there are more dimensions, right? And so this is sort of the father of string theory, right? And I mean, in a sense, general relativity is a father to string theory, because general relativity also kind of breaks away from the conventional way of doing things, because conventionally we do geometry kind of differently. We do the Euclidean geometry, we have the XYZ. We don't do things in 4 space-time usually. So by making the math kind of different in GR, the geometry was already kind of different and unique. So taking that and adding even more dimensions is something that Kaluza proposed, and it was considered to be very interesting. But it did not necessarily continue at that point in 1919, and it did not get revived back as a full-blown theory until the 1960s. But let's read about what Kaluza and Klein had to do in the early 1900s, okay? The suggestion that our universe might have more than 3 spatial dimensions may well sound fatuous, bizarre, or mystical. In reality, though, it is concrete and thoroughly plausible. To see this, it's easiest to shift our sights temporarily from the whole universe and think about a more familiar object, such as a long, thin garden hose. So this is the garden hose example that I was mentioning earlier. We might as well go ahead and read about it again, even though we did cover this last night because some people were not here last night, okay? Imagine that a few hundred feet of garden hose is stretched across a canyon, and you view it from, say, a quarter of a mile away. From this distance, you will easily perceive the long, unfurled, horizontal extent of the hose, but unless you have uncanny eyesight, the thickness of the hose will be difficult to discern. From your distant vantage point, you would think that if an ant were constrained to live on the hose, it would have only one dimension in which to walk, the left-right dimension along the hose length. If someone asked you to specify where the ant was at a given moment, you would need to give one piece of data. So if you give one piece of data to describe something or something's position, then it's called a one-dimensional answer. So it's basically like saying that ant has a one-dimensional life from this zoomed out observation, right? The distance of the ant from the left or the right end of the hose would be that one piece of data. The upshot is that from a quarter of a mile away, a long piece of garden hose appears to be a one-dimensional object. In reality, we know that the hose does have a thickness. So this is an analogy to kind of show you that there could be other hidden dimensions. In reality, we know that the hose does have thickness. You might have trouble resolving this from a quarter mile, but by using a pair of binoculars, you can zoom in on the hose and observe its girth directly. From this magnified perspective, you see that a little ant living on the hose actually has 2 independent directions in which it can walk along the left-right dimension, spanning the length of the hose as already identified, and along the clockwise, counterclockwise dimension, the circular dimension around the circular part of the hose. You now realize that to specify where the tiny ant is at any given instant, you must actually give 2 pieces of data: where the ant is along the length of the hose and where the ant is along its circular girth. This reflects the fact that the surface of the garden hose is 2-dimensional. So it's not 1-dimensional, but 2-dimensional. All of that is to say that when we zoom out from the garden hose, we think it's 1-dimensional. But if you zoomed in, you would see that there is actually a littler, more smaller, curled up dimension that we may not see zoomed out. And this is supposed to be an analogy to understand that maybe, just maybe, there are such curled up little teeny weeny extra dimensions that string theory is proposing, okay? Steven says, "You're welcome, friend, and thanks for reading what you did read. I wasn't hurt when you skipped to the last page. I realized to start with the first page next time." It was totally a mistake. I didn't realize that I was skipping to the last page. I was going like next in the posts, and there was just the one post that was giving me a lot of trouble because it was flipping on itself. So every time I'm trying to read the words, I'm seeing it upside down. But other than that, I was just going in order, actually. So you can take a look on your account and see which page is where. And we can definitely give it a go again another time. But I think it was a couple of things. I think for me, the handwriting slowed down the reading a little bit and made me a little uncertain about some of the words. So I don't want to get the words wrong. But it was fun though. I think it's a fun story. Thank you so much for sharing it. And we're just getting started. You know, this is a journey of book reading. So this was the first time we tried such a thing. So I'm very glad we did. Faye says, will the water flowing through it will be another dimension? So the garden hose example is to talk about our perception. When we perceive this garden hose from a very far distance away, we mainly think of it as a one-dimensional thing. When we zoom in, we see that there is another dimension, and we know, yes, that there's another dimension. But this is supposed to be an analogy to explain that we might be experiencing a limited number of dimensions when in reality there are more smaller curled up dimensions, okay? So, nonetheless, there is a clear difference between these two dimensions. The direction along the length of the hose is long, extended, and easily visible. The direction circling around the thickness of the hose is short, curled up, and harder to see. Especially from a far distance, it's harder to see. To become aware of the circular dimension, you have to examine the hose with significantly greater precision. So this is the other analogy, which is that in order to see that there is that curled up another dimension where the ant could be, you have to exercise better precision. And the same sort of argument is made in string theory, which is that maybe there are these extra curled up dimensions, but we haven't achieved the level of precision needed to measure those. And so that's the argument that they're making, which is that these dimensions could very well be a thing, but we just haven't been able to measure them. So this is the sort of convincing that they're doing, which is fine. I think as a theory, I buy it. As a theory, I think it's fine to argue that there might be more dimensions that we just don't experience because they're tiny and curled up, and we haven't developed the precision to measure them. I think those are all good. I just think that it's unfortunate that the theory kind of suffers from not being able to be tested, because if you cannot test it and show it with experiment, then generally we don't accept it as a robust theory, okay? The water would be a hidden dimension. So the water is actually kind of flowing through that lengthwise, right? So it would be, the water is not a dimension, it's just in the hose if it's running through the hose. We're talking about different things. So when we talk about dimension here, we were trying to give a position to the ant. Say we're trying to understand the position. We're trying to measure the position of the ant along with time, as a function of time. If you think of the hose as one-dimensional, you would only give one number as your answer for the position of the ant on that hose. And that would be a less precise way to give the position of the ant, because actually turns out when you zoom in, there's another dimension, which is the girth of that hose. So it's basically saying that depending on how precise you want an answer to be, you can either give it as a 1D answer or a 2D answer. So the water is sort of not important right now in this analogy. Mickey, could you calm down and just listen? You might just learn something. I hear that you have some issues with what we're discussing, and there's no need to get very riled up about it. You can just chill, relax. Your favorite mod is here, Chickpea. Can you deal with Mickey? He has been, he's back at it with his correcting Einstein. Raikudo, hello. Chickpea, hello. Chickpea, hello. Raikudo, hello. Everybody, hello. Thank you so much for being here. We're discussing extra dimensions for string theory. Can we pin that? Let's pin that. Can we get 30 likes? Thank you so much, everybody. You think it's trolling? Would the materials of bacteria in the water be in a different dimension? So, again, it would either, you could, if there's bacteria in the water, you could either say the position of the bacteria in the water, because the water in the hose would be flowing through the hose, right? So it's pretty much the same as the hose. If you're wondering about the bacteria in the water, that's not very different from the ant example that we just gave. It's the same thing for the bacteria in the water, just the bacteria is much smaller. So to say the position of the bacteria in the water, you would either say it as a 1D answer, or you would say it as a 2D answer if you wanted to be more precise. If you want to be less precise, you can say it as a 1D answer. If you want to be more precise, you would say it as a 2D answer. We hit 20 likes. I'm out. Hope you have a great night. Oh, Adam, are you leaving already? I've been recapping all of this for you, Adam, my friend. So let's keep going for a bit. Nonetheless, there is a clear difference between these two dimensions. One of them is long, extended, and easily visible. The direction circling around the thickness of the hose is short, curled up, and harder to see. To become aware of the circular dimension, you have to examine the hose with significantly greater precision. This example underscores a subtle and important feature of spatial dimensions. They come in two varieties. They can be large, extended, and therefore directly manifest, or they can be small, curled up, and much more difficult to detect. Of course, in this example, you did not have to exert a great deal of effort to reveal the curled up dimension encircling the thickness of the hose. You merely had to use a pair of binoculars. So being more precise here did not take a lot of effort, but this is an analogy to say that it might take more effort and more precision to see these curled up dimensions. In fact, it might take way more precision than we are capable of, right? However, if you had a very thin garden hose, as thin as a hair or a capillary, detecting its curled up dimension would be more difficult. In a paper he sent to Einstein in 1919, Kaluza made an astounding suggestion. He proposed that the spatial fabric of the universe might possess more than the three dimensions of common experience. The motivation for this radical thesis, as we will discuss shortly, was Kaluza's realization that it provided an elegant and compelling framework for weaving together Einstein's general relativity and Maxwell's electromagnetic theory into a single, unified conceptual framework. But more immediately, how can this proposal be squared with the apparent fact that we see precisely three spatial dimensions? So what is a dimension? So the dimensions that we experience are either the X or the Y or the Z. Does that sort of make some intuitive sense to you? Like when we say the position of anybody, we generally give some number in the up-down direction, some height. You could be in a building that's pretty tall, or you could be on the ground floor of the building, so that's your height answer. You could be somewhere, there's some number given for the left-right direction. Sometimes we call that an X direction. And then you could be somewhere anywhere in the forward backward direction as well. Sometimes we call that the y direction. What does the Webster say a dimension is? Well, dimension is first of all spelled as D-I-M-E-N-S-I-O-N, and why don't you Google it and tell us yourself, Faze, in the chat. I'm trying to do some explanation of it right now, but basically a dimension is think about how you would say the position of somebody. You would use some numbers. Those numbers would probably be one of them in the x direction, one of them in the y direction, one of them in the z direction. And by x, I mean left, right. By y, I mean backward, forward. By z, I mean up, down. And these are the dimensions that we experience. So for example, a piece of paper, or this page, if it's completely flat, is sort of 2D. See how there is this direction and this direction. So there's only 2 dimensions when it comes to this piece of paper. If you want to know, say if there was an ant on this piece of paper, it's not completely flat, but you get the point. You would basically need to say where the ant is in this direction or in this direction. So those are the 2 dimensions. Yes. A measurable extent of some kind, such as length, breadth, depth, or height. Exactly. Length, breadth, depth, or height. So depending on what you're trying to do, something could either be 1D, 2D, or 3D. If all you're interested in, or the level of precision that you're interested in, is fine with giving a one-dimensional answer for something, like that garden hose and the ant that's on it. If you're from a very far, far away distance and you're looking at this garden hose and there's the ant on it, you just care about where the ant is lengthwise of the garden hose. So whether there's another dimension or not, you don't care, and you give the answer as 1D. But if you care very much about the precision of your answer, you might want to zoom in on the garden hose and tell us in the circular direction, in the girth, where it is. And therein, you would have another dimension added to your answer for the position of the ant. Same thing here. On this book cover, I could just tell you where the ant is, this way, lengthwise, and be done, and be like, okay, I only cared about the length dimension, so I'm just not gonna bother with the other dimension, which is this way, right? So okay, so that's another way of saying that, generally speaking, for us, we experience 3 spatial dimensions. And so generally you can give the answer with 1 dimension, 2 dimension, or 3 dimensions, and that's the extent. Those are all the 3 spatial dimensions that are known to us, that we experience. We don't go any more precise than that, usually. In the physics that we know and love, we don't say much more precise than that. Of course, there's the time dimension. We can also say the time for something, and that would be really it. And general relativity basically deals in those 4 dimensions: the time dimension, the 3 spatial dimensions. But now, Kaluza is making the claim, or the proposal, that there might actually be more dimensions than what we experience. Something else may be there that we just don't see, that we just don't experience, and we don't have the capacity to measure it. But it may be a thing. And so why not have 10 dimensions and say that we experience 3 of them, but the other ones are there too. We just don't experience them. hopefully that makes that more, hopefully that helps with understanding what the dimensions are and what we're sort of talking about. We will keep going because like the water in the hose. Sort of. Sort of like the water. More like the fact that we could not see the girth of the garden hose. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's the hose this way, lengthwise, and then there's another way, which is the girth of it. And from a large distance away, we couldn't see that curled up circular dimension. So where the ant is in that circular on top of the garden hose is what is what is confusing or challenging, and depending on your precision of measurement, you may not care about the circular way. So basically, string theory is proposing that if you got more precise, there may be extra dimensions that we don't experience, but they may very well be there. And that allows them to build the theory in a way which helps with the math of explaining gravitation as well as particle physics. Because remember, the big pressure on superstring theory is to be able to explain both gravitation as well as quantum mechanics and particle physics. If you cannot if you cannot explain everything we know already about gravitation and particle physics, then you would fall short. You can't really claim to have a grand unified theory candidate, whether that's a good candidate, bad candidate, just anything at all, if you don't give us both gravitation as well as quantum properties. So I'm guessing that the first thing somebody like Kaluza or Klein or anybody would have to do, once they take general relativity and extend it to 10 dimensions or 11 dimensions or just more dimensions than the 4 space-time dimensions, first things first, they would have to make sure that general relativity is still working in this new theory. And that for the case of what we experience, that they can still give us all the answers and all the derivations that we would expect to get from general relativity. So as soon as you do something different or unique and you progress something to the next level, you must first show that whatever was already known and accepted is still good in the new theory. The new theory has to explain everything that was explained before and then some. It has to be more than what is known already, right? It cannot miss something that is already known. So that was the GR example, but in quantum mechanics side too, it has to give us quantum properties like spin of the various different particles, etc., etc. And those facts have to come out of string theory. If it doesn't, then that particular string theory has to do more evolving, has to be updated more, has to be revised, reviewed, beat up, etc. And we saw how that was the case actually. They had to evolve it further once they did start to work on string theory for real in the 1960s. So keep in mind that the task of any grand unified theory, string theory included, it's pretty much considered the only game in town for grand unification. They have a very difficult, challenging task, which is to explain everything that was known before them in terms of quantum mechanics and GR. So, that's what they have to deal with explaining, okay? Feeling quirky. You can't see me because I live in a different dimension. I'm gonna make a line of codes into the 4D math on it and encode it in the barcode on it. Space-time fabric cuts. I like that. Okay, so that's what is going on. with string theory. It has a very challenging task, a very challenging goal of unifying all of physics. So sometimes the grand unified theory is also called the theory of everything. So theory of everything, TOE, string theory is the only candidate pretty much that is considered to be a serious candidate for the theory of everything. So, and most unfortunately, it cannot be tested experimentally. I mean, I wouldn't say all of it cannot be tested, because if supersymmetry could be is tested and is proven correct in the Large Hadron Collider, for example, that could also give further confirmation for string theory or help superstring theory, because it relies on supersymmetry. So it's not like, oh, there's no hope for superstring theory, but I think a couple of things are, first of all, we would have to prove out supersymmetry in particle physics, and we would have to prove out, we would have to see what we can do about increasing precision of measurement, which may allow us to see extra dimensions that are mentioned and needed by string theory. So we will see about that. I don't know how easy that's gonna be. Okay. So Kaluza did this thing where he he proposed that the spatial fabric of the universe might possess more than the 3 dimensions of common experience, because I need like a placeholder for those based off the missing pieces. Oh, so dark energy is like this expansive force basically pulling the universe apart, right? And dark matter is like keeping it clumped together. Right, so dark energy and dark matter are 2 different things. Dark energy is responsible for expansion of the universe, yes. It is an anti-gravity phenomena that leads to expansion of the universe. And is sort of a different beast. It's sort of it's almost, some people consider it sort of the geometry of this universe. It's a you might have heard of the cosmological constant. It's part of, it's a cosmology type of phenomena. Okay? So dark energy, yes, is responsible for expansion of the universe. Dark matter is a completely different beast. Dark matter is extra invisible matter that we find at various scales. At the scale of our galaxy, at the scale of our neighboring galaxies, as well as the scale of cosmology, which is the entire universe. So dark matter is matter. It interacts with gravitation, but it's invisible, so it does not interact with light, making it very difficult for us to understand what the heck is going on. But those are 2 very different things. And dark matter, so gravitation between all the matter basically leads to clumping. And you bring up a good point. Dark matter may have an important role in the making large scale structure, including making galaxies. Yes, so that is an important, if we only account for the visible matter, that is an important so let me just say this. The importance and role of dark matter in creating large scale structure, and the fact that there is a ton of dark matter in the halos of our galaxies, etc., at least in our own galaxy for sure, is important in explaining sort of like why matter has clumped together in the way it has. But I don't want to say anything too definitive on this matter, because it's a research topic that is currently being researched as to what exactly is the role of dark matter in creating large scale structure. It's more complicated than just dark matter, right? But you're right that dark matter, of course, it interacts with gravitation and it's adding to the mass and the gravitation of any given galaxy or otherwise extent of mass or anything, right? Extent of objects such as a galaxy or a different cluster or something. So, and in fact, the understanding the role of dark matter in creating these structures is going to be very important also in understanding like how we get these structures, why we get these structures. So there may be very important details indeed to understand about dark matter in that way. But yes, gravitation keeps things clumped and dark energy keeps things expanding. And the exact role of dark matter is a research topic because we don't fully understand what dark matter is. We know it's a type of matter which is invisible but interacts with gravitation. Dark matter does interact with other matter gravitationally. So dark matter does interact gravitationally with other matter. There is gravitational attraction between matter. Dark matter does interact in that way. So the question is how much dark matter is within us at the individual level. That I don't know. As far as I know, for the record, I do think that we're made of just ordinary matter. I don't know that we're made of anything dark matter. We're made of ordinary matter, which ends up being a very small fraction of the overall matter in the universe. The overall matter in the universe, if it's overall in the universe, dark energy is like 70%, and 25% is dark matter, and 5% is ordinary matter. So it turns out that what we're made of is a very small fraction of the overall universe makeup or universe ingredients, but I don't know that we're made of dark matter. That would be very interesting. That sounds like a philosophical question that I'm not sure what to say. Does it really matter? What does it really matter? It's like helium in that way. It doesn't play along with others. Like inert gases, you mean? That's probably a good sci-fi book idea you need to tell Steven. Yeah. That's true. Steven, maybe we need to put dark matter in human beings in your next sci-fi novel. Oh, okay. Does it really matter? I see the pun. The pun is, does it really matter? I see. Yeah, so dark matter does really matter in the sense that it is much more than the regular matter. It constitutes a much bigger fraction of overall matter than does ordinary matter, which is what we're made of. So ordinary matter is considered to be baryons, which is which is just protons and neutrons, and that's considered ordinary matter, which is a much lesser fraction of the overall matter density in the universe. So in that sense, dark matter actually matters immensely, and we would like to understand its role in large-scale structure like Adam has been mentioning. Loop quantum theory versus superstring theory. Which one is more studied? I think probably string theory. I'm not so sure about, do you mean, I don't know that I know what you mean, like what that means. Loop quantum theory, I'm not sure. Do you mean quantum field theory? Do you mean like Feynman diagrams? like the times going backwards, forwards, that type of stuff? Or what do you mean combat sports? And I'm not really sure, I guess, which one is studied more. Maybe string theory, I'm not sure. String theory is considered to be, can someone do a super chat? I'm actually very close to getting a payout. I think I need like $30 before it lets me have the payout from YouTube. I'm tired today. Give me a second. Oh, I see Grimmy's comment, man, oh man. Sorry. Attempts to reconcile general relativity and quantum mechanics. Well, I haven't really heard of it too much, so it may not be all that well regarded. Yeah. So I'm looking at my channel. So by the way, Adam, you should definitely check out the series of live streams that we've been doing for the last few days. Definitely check out Friedman equation. Definitely check out beauty of general relativity, as well as supersymmetry that we covered last night, okay? You can play those while you're sleeping or eating or doing other things. Okay. Okay, we've renewed. Okay. Let me keep going for a little bit longer and then I'll let you guys go to bed. I want to talk about at least the Kaluza client stuff and then we can go to bed. Because I'm tired too. I've been doing these live streams back to back and I have some other work going on as well. Looks like you never heard about loop quantum gravity. Unlike string, it doesn't add extra dimensions but states space-time is quantified, but states that space-time is quantified. I looked and they're quite long. And what's your problem with long? Just let them play and listen. And you can always fast forward in the parts that are not relevant. So yeah, this is my fourth live stream night in a row, and some of the nights have been quite long, so I'm very tired. And I'll finish up the Kaluza client stuff, and then I'll let people go to bed, and we will pick it up, and we will definitely wrap up and talk about extra dimensions in a couple of days. Probably not tomorrow, but the next day, Thursday. Because I'm trying to take like a day or two off here and there because I've got another job that I'm starting, like another demanding thing that I'm starting. I've got all kinds of things going on, but there's another new thing that's kind of starting. So It's been a little tiring for sure. You need to rest now, teacher. Oh, thank you. So let me finish up the Kaluza client stuff, okay? I'll tell you more about my new job later on. I've actually been thinking about sharing about some of my job and career stuff because the other day we talked about it and people enjoyed that. So maybe I'll talk about that more. Maybe I'll blog about it and then I'll read my own blogs. So I have a blog called howtophd.org, totally free, that you can always check out. And I haven't updated that blog in a while because I was dealing with a bunch of like transitions, career, life transition stuff. And but now I think it's time. I do like writing a lot actually, and writing is very relaxing and healing for me. I love doing the live streams because I love getting the live feedback and everybody's like questions, comments, thoughts. It's really nice to get the feedback live and do these live streams and understand like what's kind of happening, what people are thinking, etc. And also to see the engagement and create sort of a platform where people can discuss. So this has been great, but also I really like writing, and I'm naturally more of a writer actually than a speaker. I think I do okay with speaking too, and teaching, presenting, all of that. I've definitely come a long way with all of that. But initially when I started to do content, I actually started with my blog, which is the howtophd.org blog. I call it howtophd.org. So first of all, I got it started when I was in grad school, a PhD student myself, and I wanted to share like advice and tips and tricks and sort of my experience getting a PhD and the challenges of academia and helping people like transition within academia as well as to like jobs outside of academia. Like I was very passionate about all of that. So that's why I got started with that blog years ago in school. And then I picked the domain howtophd.org because literally it's cheaper than the domain howtophd.com. So the .com domains actually cost more money. And I was a poor grad student, so I paid like $30 per year to get this domain. And the other day I realized that it's renewing, and I still pay for that domain, and I actually I also pay for hosting this whole website and everything. So I should definitely spend more time, you know, rejuvenating, reviving, and updating the blog, which is more geared towards school and career type of stuff and topics and advice. The channel, I've been doing cats and physics, and I really like talking about the physics topics. I have a couple books on physics topics as well, but and some blogs on physics topics as well, but the blog was more career-y. Thank you. Yes, hope I will be online when you talk. When you talk about your career. Thank you, Combat Sports. Chickpea is saying you talking is loved by everyone because I'm tired. Yeah, me too, my friend. We will be ending soon here. So I think I need to definitely revive my blog. So I think tomorrow I'm gonna take some time and do that. And I actually write a lot. So like whenever you guys don't see me, I'm actually like doing a bunch of writing and other types of projects, like starting this like new job and everything as well. So there's just been like a lot going on, and I need to do more writing and post more. And I think one of these days I will do a little bit of a reading from my own writing, which will be from the website from my blog. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for your support. Adam says, I'm out nighty night. I think that's definitely a good idea about the website. Thank you, Adam. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to Canada and good night to Canada. Thank you so much for your support indeed, and we really do appreciate it a lot. Thank you. Let's sleep at the beach or something. You should trade of your books with Mr. Krauss for his book. I know. Seriously. The thing is that his book, okay, my nose is very red now. The thing is that his book was not available at the library as a paper copy or as a hard copy. So because the book was only available as a soft copy or as a digital copy, it checked itself out and went away too quickly from my device. I couldn't keep holding on to it like a physical copy. So I'm going to keep looking for it as a physical copy, and we will get back to it. I know you requested it multiple times. So thank you, Chickpea, for your patience. Adam says, thank you for the cosmic info. Thank you. His book is really valuable. Yeah, I mean, Dr. Krauss is very good at all of this. For sure. For sure, for sure. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here, and thank you so much for being on the live. But yeah, one of these days soon here, I'll give an update on my career stuff, and I'll read it from my blog that I write. So I think tomorrow I might work on that, and then Thursday we'll be back again with more on string theory. Have a good night, says Combat Sports. Bring in more super chats with that book. Thank you. Okay, let me finish Kaluza Klein. If you guys want to go to bed, you can keep this going in the background. In a paper he sent to Einstein in 1919, Kaluza made an astounding suggestion. He proposed that the spatial fabric of the universe might possess more than the 3 dimensions of common experience. The motivation for this radical thesis, as we will discuss shortly, was Kaluza's realization that it provided an elegant and compelling framework for weaving together Einstein's general relativity and Maxwell's electromagnetic theory into a single, unified, conceptual framework. I'm going to sleep listening to you. Thank you. Do that. Go to bed. Good night. Good night, all. You can start sleeping with this going. Baji, please don't move the phone. That's the one thing. Gosh. Everybody, thank you so much, and keep on keeping on. And you can listen to this in the background as you sleep. You know that I sleep with all of you on the live, sort of. So, the motivation for this radical thesis, as we will discuss shortly, was Kaluza's realization that it provided an elegant and compelling framework for weaving together Einstein's general relativity and Maxwell's electromagnetic theory into a single, unified conceptual framework. But more immediately, how can this proposal be squared with the apparent fact that we see precisely 3 spatial dimensions? The answer, implicit in Kaluza's work and subsequently made explicit and refined by the Swedish mathematician Oscar Klein in 1926, is that the spatial fabric of our universe may have both extended and curled up dimensions. So this notion about the spatial fabric having both extended as well as curled up dimensions is not super new. Even in the earlier 1900s, like 1919, etc., when Kaluza Klein is doing all of this, is when they proposed that sort of thing, the extended dimension and the curled up dimension. So pretty cool indeed, really, really cool. And so That is, just like the horizontal extent of the garden hose, our universe has dimensions that are large, extended, and easily visible, the three spatial dimensions of common experience. But like the circular girth of a garden hose, the universe may also have additional spatial dimensions that are tightly curled up into a tiny space. A space so tiny that it has so far eluded detection by even our most refined experimental equipment. So it needs a lot more precision than we can achieve right now to detect these curled up, smaller dimensions. And so we don't have them yet. Baji is on my lap, curling up as we speak, and he is quite determined to do this in the middle of my reading. So that's what's going on right now. To gain a clearer image of this remarkable proposal, let's reconsider the garden hose for a moment. Imagine that the hose is painted with closely spaced black circles. So I'm actually gonna show you this image in a bit, but there's gonna be some black circles on the hose that you'll see in a picture, which will emphasize that the surface of the garden hose is actually two-dimensional, with one large extended dimension and one small circular dimension. And Kaluza and Klein propose that our spatial universe is similar, but that it has three large extended spatial dimensions and one small circular dimension for a total of 4 spatial dimensions. So they went to 4 spatial dimensions. They didn't go to 10 or 11, but we will see. So again, they basically propose that our spatial universe is similar, but that it has 3 large extended spatial dimensions like the ones 3D spatial dimensions that like we normally experience, and then they're saying that there might be one small teeny weeny circular dimension for a total of 4 spatial dimensions. It is difficult to draw something with that many dimensions, so for visualization purposes we must settle for an illustration incorporating 2 large dimensions and 1 small circular dimension. So that's what I'll leave you with when I flip this phone over and show you the picture. Okay? So that's what Kaluza and Klein did as early as the 1900s, earlier 1900s, like 1919. They had already sort of started to propose that there might be more dimensions than we understand or experience, and it was sort of a precursor to the full-blown string theory, which of course has many, many extra dimensions that are also similarly curled up. Okay? So we will go towards all of that discussion going forward here when we meet next with string theory and extra dimensions, as we are referencing this book called The Elegant Universe by Brian Greene. Hopefully you've been enjoying. We have been talking about this in a series of these live streams, starting with Saturday we talked about fragment equations, Sunday we talked about the beauty of general relativity, Monday we talked about supersymmetry mainly, and how it plays an immense role in unifying the non-gravitational fundamental forces, as well as makes things possible with string theory. And really, string theory really heavily relies on it. And then today, we actually took a little bit of a special route and talked briefly about a science fiction novel by one of our supporters of this channel, Stephen. And we had a few challenges with that reading, but still we got some idea for his book, and we look forward to more from him. And then we covered a little bit more about string theory again today for the people who missed our live last night. Any more questions, do let me know. I'll hang around for a little bit longer and then I'll go to bed because I'm very tired. There's been we've been having some longer nights lately. So appreciate everybody so much. Welcome and thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for the likes and subscribes and shares, and thank you for your super chats and all of the support. Thank you so much. And Baji's on my lap already. We're ready for bed already. What about the Mobius strip? That is an easy to make dimensional thing. I don't know what that means. What do you mean, Raikudo? So I forget, Raikudo, where are you joining from, if you don't mind? Are you in, were you the one who said you might be from Buffalo, or was that somebody else? Buffalo, the place with the rivers. Ah, the rivers? Or do you mean a lot of snow? And the Buffalo Wild Wings? Gosh. Okay, let me turn it around and show you the picture. Raikudo, were you here last night? Did everything we covered, was it sort of review for you, or were you not here last night? No, I mean rivers. The city has a French name that meant beautiful rivers, but it got mushed into Buffalo. Really? The city has a French name that meant beautiful rivers, but it got mushed in. Was Buffalo part of Canada? Is that the history? I was here. Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming tonight as well then. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. I did not know this about Buffalo. Thank you so much for sharing. I was trying to... Nope, never was Canadian. The French passed through. That's very interesting. Never was Canadian, but the French passed through. I see. I see. The French were in Buffalo, and it had a beautiful name that we currently don't use. Goodness gracious me. Okay, let me show you this picture. In fact, I think I can just show you like this. That's the sort of diagram thing that I was talking about earlier. Once again, if you have been catching this live, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your support. A little bit rougher of a live tonight, but we will be sure to be back with more information about string theory and extra dimensions next time. And we are extremely excited to see you soon in a couple of days, and hopefully hear from you and your thoughts and comments and questions. Keep them coming. And until then, please do enjoy our shorts, videos, clips, lives, all of that, especially also the lives that are posted already in the past. that may have long, nice discussions on these and related topics, which are generally always in physics, astrophysics, astronomy, and cosmology. And we've been kind of covering string theory and such recently. So please do catch all of these live streams that are posted in the past already. They are available for you under the live tab of the channel. Thank you so much once again for being here. Tassie Turn says, hey, I love you. Thank you so much. Right, Kudo says, but then I was only told it was the French. I never looked it up. Didn't matter that much. Faye says, bye. Bye all. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, my friends. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for commenting, messaging, chatting with each other, and sending all your messages and commenting on the other videos and shorts. In the meantime, please do keep on watching and supporting the videos and shorts and lives that come out on the channel. Much appreciate all of your support all the time. Very, very much. Thank you. Who else is still here? Who wants to say goodnight? The French word bioflu. Bioflu. Do you think that they took that bioflu and turned it into buffalo? Is that what happened? Bioflu, buffalo. Is that what happened? We took a French term and turned it into buffalo. Is that what happened? Thank you for telling me about this buffalo story, Raikudo. Thank you everyone for being here. I searched the name origin and got this. Thank you. Took off the earrings. They were pretty heavy. Anybody else want to say goodnight? Do it now. Makes sense since Buffalo the creature lived out west. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.